So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got into psychology. What was the interest for you?
I believe when I started, it was trying to understand human behavior, and thinking psychologically came very easy to me. And I was extremely intrigued by the theories of psychology. So I guess what first drew me in was just the theoretical underpinnings of psychology and the evolution of it as a science, and then crossing over into philosophy a lot. And just being like a thinker since I was a little girl, it just seemed like a natural transition. And it was the right one.
So it seemed like a good fit for your personality as you
I
immersed
think
in.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can only say that looking back retrospectively that yes, it was a very good fit. I mean, I wasn't sure what my career path would be when in college, other than that I was interested in the academic ends of psychology, and then I just evolved from there. So.
And what roles do you find yourself in now, Jackie? What are your different? What are the different things you do?
I right now I'm working as a psychology training director at the Karen Horney Clinic here in Manhattan. So basically, I don't know what the academics are like in terms of getting your degree in psychology internationally, but here in the U.S., one part of your doctoral degree at the end, once you're done with everything, is to do a year-long internship. And I did mine at the Karen Horney Clinic, and I've been there in August. It'll actually be 11 years. So I have had a lot of, transitions throughout my time at the clinic. So I'm working as the training director, which means I train and I'm in charge of the administrative part of teaching. Like I was in 2000, I trained the interns, I supervise them, I teach, and I organize the program. In addition to that, I have a really good private practice. So that's what I'm doing now, and I'm also working on my second book.
Yeah.
So I'm busy.
You sound like a very busy lady, Jackie. Yes, yeah. And of course, what has led us into the interview is your first book, In the Therapist's Chair, which is
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what got you thinking about the book.
I guess I was in supervision, even though I'm way past the point where actually I'm required to have supervision. I like having a place if I'm having difficulty with a patient, someone to bounce it off of. And this particular supervisor had said to me that I have a really interesting way of working and I have very interesting patients. And she was really encouraging me to write. And I love writing. And as a psychology student getting their doctorate, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're familiar with this, though. There's a lot of writing involved, but it's academic writing. So I wasn't sure which direction to go. Honestly, there was this dilemma because here in New York, the psychoanalytic community, and I think my book kind of grasps the essence of this, is a relatively conservative profession. I mean, it's not, it just has, I'm sort of on the art end of psychology, and, so even the way I dress is a little bit different. I mean, I try to maintain a level of professionalism physically, which is not always easy. I mean, usually people that don't know me, if they're talking to me, they think I'm an artist. So it's an interesting thing, but so anyway, the supervisor was encouraging me to write, and so my dilemma was, do I write something extremely academic that's going to be really respected by the psychoanalytic community, or do I buy something that is actually going to sell books? And I was sitting with that for at least 5 years, and so I went back to my dissertation, and I thought, I could really do something with this because it's an interesting topic, and I sat down to work on it, and nothing was coming out, and so then I stopped doing it, and again she was pushing me. And so I just started with one case study, which is the case study of the body dysmorphic patient. And then I just couldn't stop writing. I mean, I wrote in the therapist chair and without the editing, because that took much longer, and I had someone else obviously helping me. But the book itself I wrote in 6 weeks. Like, it was pouring out of me. I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning. I was writing. I'd go running. I'd go to work, see my patients, see my students, teach my classes, come home. In fact, the director of the Karen Horney Clinic had come into my office when he heard how quick I was writing my book and asked me if I was having a manic episode. Because he said it takes a year to write a book. How are you writing a book in 6 weeks? But I think like I had missed the creative part that like you're forced to do in graduate school. Like, think about things, come up with your own theories, and be creative. Because I do think psychology is a very creative profession, and there's a lot of latitude in what you can and can't do. So the book, it brought me back to, I think, a place where I was before my doctorate, being more creative. And I think the doctorate just burnt me out to the point where it took me a while before I could really write again. So that's what inspired it. So it was supposed to be one case study for a journal, and it turned into a book, pretty quickly. So.
Wow. It sounds like an amazing process. You just started to write and it was just all pouring out of you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's why I like it so much now. I'm doing a second book, and in my head, as I think of my career going forward, will be, continuous writing. So
that's now like a real part of your life and your work, to do this kind of writing.
Yes. Yeah. It crosses over too. I mean, it's still respected in the psychoanalytic community because I am writing about cases from an informed position. I'm not, I'm not undermining the academic, but I'm writing it more simply so that even a layperson interested in psychology can understand it. Because I think there are a lot of really good psych books out there that people get bored when they're reading it because it's too academic. And I always said that for something to be profound and moving, it doesn't have to require cliff notes to read. And I didn't want my book to be like that because that's really not me. So, yeah, the book, I think, is for people who know me, it's really very me, if that makes any sense. So.
Well, it really does. As I was reading your book, it just felt like I was in the room with you, just hearing all about your clients and hearing a lot about how you are with your clients. It was a really lovely experience to kind of interact with you in that way.
Thank you. Yes, yeah, a lot of people say that, the vividness of it, and it was effortless, honestly. I think it's just the way that it was from the heart. It's the way I felt. And so that's one reason I wrote it so fast, and one reason why it was so vivid is because I was so honest about it. But thank you for the compliment, John. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, yeah. I mean, I really noticed, well, you're saying about your supervisor noticing